up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to talk about some Destiny 2 stuff, including some reveals that we're likely to see in August, gear managers or item managers inside of Destiny 2, as well as some story teases which are worth taking a look at. And I also wanted to talk briefly about difficulty in Destiny 2, how Bungie are talking about it, and what this actually means. So let's get into it. So firstly, we've had a bunch of reveals over the last few weeks that came from IGN's first coverage for Destiny 2. Typically, when Bungie roll out a new game or a big expansion, they have IGN first, as well as Game Informer, cover the new content and have some exclusives. IGN's coverage, of course, was running through July, but we have a little tease right here about a possible Game Informer cover for Destiny 2 coming up this month. So Asta1 on Twitter actually tweeted, "Is anyone excited for the upcoming Game Informer cover reveal, which will most likely be Destiny 2? And he actually got a response from the PC editor at Game Informer, who said, "I'm pretty excited for it." Asta1 said, "Is there any teaser for when it will be revealed?" And Daniel Tack, who is the PC editor, replied, "Next week." So this almost certainly confirms that Destiny 2 will be the cover feature for Game Informer, and they're going to be revealing it next week. This does make a lot of sense. Back before the Taken King dropped, Game Informer did do their cover article, which began on August the 1st, that's where they revealed the cover, and then last year they did the same thing on August the 2nd for Rise of Iron. These were actually for the September covers. What they do is they reveal the cover the month before, and then they add new information, every few days. So considering the response from the PC editor, as well as the previous editions we've seen dropping in August, the month before the major releases, it makes a lot of sense that we'll see Game Informer coverage over the next month. These also tend to be pretty hefty reveals. If we look at IGN's coverage, we saw new game modes revealed, new exotics, PvP maps, a look at Nessus in-depth and Patrol and all that kind of stuff. And previously, Game Informer covered things like the artifacts, which were brand new for Rise of Iron, as well as an in-depth look at multiple PvP maps. So as of next week, definitely look out for a whole bunch of Destiny 2 news coming from Game Informer. Of course, later on in August, Gamescom will run. This actually begins on the 22nd and then opens up on the 23rd through to the 26th. With this being immediately before the launch of Destiny 2, we're likely to see a lot of new information. Of course, a couple of days after Gamescom ends, the PC beta will drop on the 28th of August. So I had previously said that expect the first couple of weeks in August to be quiet, but it looks like this hype train is pretty much unstoppable. Up next, I wanted to talk about gear managers, so things like Item Manager and Ishtar Commander for Destiny. The devs and the kind of builders of these tools have confirmed that they will be supporting Destiny 2, and Bungie will be making their first steps to supporting those apps very soon. So the Destiny 2 API details will be released on August 23rd. And basically the API is a bunch of kind of features and tools that allow these apps to communicate with Bungie.net servers and their kind of applications and all of the data for Destiny. So essentially this is the biggest requirement for these apps to actually work, and Bungie will be pushing the first details to the devs starting on the 23rd, so they will have a little bit of time to start and get things ready. But both Destiny Item Manager and Ishtar Commander have confirmed that they will be taking some time when Destiny 2 launches to actually play the game, finish the story and everything like that. So don't expect any of your kind of item managers outside of what is available on Bungie.net itself to actually be working immediately. Goose from Destiny Item Manager said that once they've finished playing the game, it'll take a couple of days to start and roll out some of the features, but the first thing that will be available is actually transferring gear between, I guess, vaults and characters, so that's always good. And then over time they'll add perks, inspection, and some of the new features, infusion and cosmetics and everything like that. And I just figured since a bunch of us use these awesome tools, it makes sense to kind of let you guys know about this. Moving on, I wanted to talk about some story teases which actually come from some of the MegaConstrux figures for Destiny and Destiny 2. So if you remember, months and months ago now, there was a leak about some of the Mega Blocks for Destiny 2 that gave some information about Lord Shaxx, and it said, wielding his razor lighter, hero of the Crucible Shaxx prepares to pit his blade against a gladiator's furious cleavers. And this was the description for this particular set, but of course it came out out months before we knew anything about Destiny 2. We now know that these are indeed going to be a thing, so you can see right here, Shaxx jumping off a kind of piece of architecture in the hangar, attacking one of these Cabal gladiators, and he's wielding that raised lighter. There are also some crates and some engrams on the floor, so not only was the story leak that we got from this a while back true, but this also gives us a tease about some of the events that'll occur during the opening acts of Destiny 2. We do meet Lord Shaxx during the Homecoming mission, and he allows us into the Vanguard Armory, and you can see that he has the raised lighter on his back in this mission as well. I think there could possibly be an additional part to this mission, or perhaps some cinematics that happen at some point during or before the mission starts. But then there's another set here which hasn't actually been spoken about, and this is a Cabal Harvester dropship. These are the kind of smaller ships that come in and drop enemies during things like the Inverted Spire Strike. And we can see Cayde is also included in this set. We get another image of a Cabal Scion piloting the ship inside, and we see Cayde kind of climbing through a vent of some sort into the ship, so it looks like Cayde could actually be climbing aboard this ship for some kind of sabotage, which would be pretty interesting. The description reads, "The hordes of Red Legion are ready to deploy from their massive Harvester dropship, but while the Cabal forces advance, Cayde-6 waits for the perfect moment to strike. With authentic details inspired by the new game, you can now build this hulking troop carrier and then launch forward and take the enemy by surprise as Cayde-6 unleashes a dual wield attack with his Ace of Spades in hand." So again, it's a pretty cool set right there, but it's obviously given us a little taste of some stuff that we're going to see in the game. It'd be awesome to see Cayde actually steal one of these ships. Perhaps we'll use it to kind of infiltrate a fortress or a base of some sort, kind of like we did in The Taken King, where you use Eris Morn's ship to get past the Dreadnought defenses. It's also really interesting that it says Cayde-6 unleashes a dual wield attack with his Ace of Spades in hand. I'm not suggesting that we'll see dual wielding of weapons as Guardians ourselves, but it would be pretty awesome even if we saw Cayde kind of wielding two pistols at the same time. So I just thought I'd share those with you guys. They give us a few little teases about some of the stuff we're going to see in Destiny 2. Finally, I wanted to talk about difficulty in Destiny 2. So Bungie have kind of been talking about how difficult the game will be, and they've said in a lot of ways they're trying to make the game easier for players to understand. And we've also heard of them nerfing things such as the turbine blades in the first mission of the game. And this is something which a lot of people have been kind of talking about. There's been a lot of kind of anxiety as well. You know, people saying that they're making the game too easy and they're dumbing it down. And in some respects, you know, there are kind of things which are baked into the game. They've changed the way subclasses work and the kind of trees have been simplified. But I also think that hardcore players or long-term players shouldn't necessarily be too anxious about hearing this stuff. When Bungie have kind of spoken about endgame content, they've said that they want the pinnacle content, you know, the stuff which is kind of at the top of the game, the most difficult things, the end game in general. They want that to be a more challenging experience. And we've kind of had a taste of that, you know, PvE is a little bit different in the game. You don't do as much damage with abilities or certain weapon types, and a lot of that is still being tuned, so we don't have a full understanding of it just yet. But when Bungie talk about the game being less difficult and nerfing certain things for more casual players, you also have to be aware that they're trying to sell this game, right? They're going to promote certain things which are more appealing to the general audience. They want the campaign to be a more approachable element in the game. So you have to remember these are things which impact us long-term players a little bit differently. And again, Bungie have said that they want pinnacle content, you know, whether it's trials, whether it's nightfalls and raids, that stuff is going to be challenging. So I just think that's worth bearing in mind, you know, the things they say when they're selling the game, especially to an audience that isn't necessarily super familiar with Destiny, or at least not as familiar as we are as long-term Destiny players. They're going to talk about things differently. That doesn't mean that the experience is going to be poor for us when we're actually in the game, and there is a ton about the end game which we just don't know yet. So anyway, that about sums up this video, guys. Some pretty interesting stuff. It looks like August is going to be packed with news. We know that we will still have item managers in Destiny 2, and some of those story teases from the Mega Block sets are pretty interesting because of course they are based on kind of scenes or events in the actual game. So I'll be curious to hear any of your thoughts in the comments section below, but if you have enjoyed the video, a like is very much appreciated. And if you want to save 10% on Control Freak products, be sure to follow the link in the description or use code HOUNDISH. This includes all of the new Destiny 2 edition gear. You'll be able to save yourself a few bucks. For now though, I really appreciate you guys watching as always, and I will catch you very soon.